Yeah, my sister has mild scoliosis. Nothing too crazy where it's impacted her, but the doctor did diagnose her like mild. So it's something that runs in my family, and it's one of the weird things where the pain is like it's constant in the background. That's what sucks. It's not like just one excruciating pain. It's like you got to deal with it for a while, and it sucks, man. It's like
yeah, it is crazy. It's really affecting. It's like now I think about it sometimes because whenever I use like my core and back, something to stabilize, like I'll relax, and it's like just like this tension and tight pain, and I'm always like, what was it like when I didn't have lower back pain? But yeah, similarly, my dad had the same thing, and he had to have surgery, and they told him he couldn't play contact sports when he was like 10.
all right, Quinn, how's it going, man?
Good, how are you?
Doing good. Finally, we got everything working.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but I don't know what happened to your phone, bro. I've never seen that happen before.
I'm not sure.
It's shaky, dude.
Yeah, I don't even know what the problem would be.
Yeah, it's weird, man. Hopefully you get that fixed, though. I mean, do you take videos often?
Clearly not. No, not probably since I was at football games. But I don't know, that's kind of disorienting anyway, so the shaky probably wasn't even noticed.
Yeah, that's true, man. That's weird, bro. When did you get this phone?
Oh my gosh. Probably two or 3 years ago?
Oh, okay.
3.
Yeah.
I think 3 full years from now.
Yeah, I think I got my first phone probably 7th grade.
Yeah?
I think 7th grade. I've had the same phone since.
Oh my gosh.
Until Thanksgiving, I got this new one.
Wow.
Yeah, it looks the exact same with bigger eyes.
That's
weird.
funny.
But I mean, I don't know. My old phone worked. I don't really need a new one. But
yeah.
Dude, Apple's always making the same exact phone over and over again.
I know. Seriously, it's hard to keep up.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, how was the break?
It was good. It was nice to be home.
Yeah. Where do you live again? Remind me.
Muskegon, Michigan.
Muskegon. I've not heard that name before.
Yeah, so it's like here.
Got you.
Yeah.
Right by the lake?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
How's home like? Is it a small town?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like my existence was transitioning between a couple towns. But, like, Muskegon Township has got cities in it, and then, like, North Muskegon is kind of a big deal. And then there's a lot of, like, Spring Lake is south of Muskegon. You know, a couple people from there who go here. So, yeah. I mean, it's not too big.
Gotcha, man. Yeah, dude, I've gotten to know, like, a lot of the cities around here just because being here. I hear, like, the same names over and over again, but that's one I haven't heard yet.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, I know. The stuff around here, it's like, yeah, I swear I hear the same stuff.
Yeah. But it's also funny how, like, the U.S. is always reusing the same names over and over again.
Yeah, that's...
Like, I drove through here, and I see the same names of the same towns, same roads where I'm from. It's, like, hilarious, bro.
I know. The cities I always laugh, because I feel like it's, like, Springfield is one where I feel like there's a Springfield, like, everywhere. Every state has
their own Springfield, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
like
hilarious,
impossible.
Though. Yeah, when do you leave, bro? When's your last exam?
My last exam is on the 13th.
Yeah.
I think if that's a Thursday. It's on that Thursday, and then I don't know if I'm going to go home that Friday or if I'm going to try to leave that Thursday. Yeah, I have to wait for one of my parents to pick me up. And they both have work,
drive,
so
not too far.
Yeah, not too far. It's like
cool.
3 hours.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
So how was fall term for you? Was it what you expected? What did you make out of it?
Yeah, it was a little bit what I expected. It was hard. I mean, it's still hard. I got to finish it out, but yeah, my physics class is giving me a harder time than I thought it would. But I didn't take physics in high school, so I a little bit lacked the background going into it. But it was good. It's definitely different, but it's different in good ways. Like, it gives you a lot of independence that high school didn't. It's also interesting to be in an environment where, like, the teachers do care, but, like, not about you individually, you know, because there's so many people. So it's like your grade is a lot more dependent on your own desire to succeed.
Yeah, I see that a lot. I mean, it's the whole relationship with the teacher is so different now.
Yeah.
I mean, what was your average class like in high school?
Like, I guess it depended on the class, but probably like somewhere from 11 to 18.
Yeah, it's so different, bro. Seeing 1,000 people lecture halls.
Yeah.
It's so
it's a lot different.
Yeah. Was the whole independence and big lifestyle like a big jump, or like, okay, this is what it's like, what you expected?
I think it was a little bit of like going into it, I was like, this is how it's going to be. And then I realized a little bit once I got into it that it was different than I expected it to be. At first, like, when I got here, right at first, I was very focused with like syllabus stuff and like making sure I watch the lessons and stuff. And even now, I don't really skip like classes, but sometimes I'm not as like attentive in those classes. And like there was a point where sometimes it's so easy to like go back to my room and then like I'll be on my phone, and then I realize like I lost 30 minutes on my phone. I'm like, I had homework I had to do. Yeah. So there was a little bit getting used to. You don't have as much time to waste when you're like when I was in high school. We didn't have our phones at school.
Really?
Yeah, we weren't allowed to have them out. It was something that happened when I wasn't there. You used to, but then someone like took a video of someone doing something, I don't know, and they posted it. So we couldn't have our phones out. So
that's
that
the
like,
reason why?
Huh?
Because someone took a video of someone?
Yeah, and they posted it somewhere, and so then there was like this whole issue. I don't know. It happened a little bit before I got there, but so we couldn't have our phones. So it was a big difference to like just to be able to waste time on my phone, like sit in class with my phone out.
That's interesting. So you're allowed to bring it to school. You just can't like, use it on the property?
Like during school hours, yeah. There was a while where if they saw it in your pocket, they could take it from you.
What the fuck? Is it private school?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense.
But then they did away with the pocket thing because we had a uniform, so we wore khakis, and the girls wore skirts, and so they always used to just like tuck it in the back pocket, and then like the teachers could never see it, but they would have it on them, and so then like for equality purposes, they let us have it in our pocket because they knew the girls always had it on.
They knew they were doing it.
Yeah.
Wow, I've never heard about that before. I think I've heard about, I can't remember the name, but I think I heard about this boarding school in the UK that was the institute that there's no phones on campus.
Oh, wow, yeah.
But what they did was they provided everyone with a flip phone instead.
Oh, that's interesting.
And that's how they communicate with their parents and everything. But honestly, it had a much better effect than they expected, because I think there's something in human psychology about, it's less about like what you have but relative to the people around you, right? So even though you didn't have a phone, it's like no one has a phone. So you're kind of living in a society on a boarding school campus where all the students don't have a phone. And apparently it was a huge positive impact because all the negative things about the phone, like, didn't have to deal with that. But you don't even feel like you're left out because, like, the whole social setting is changed now because everyone's interacting that way. And, dude, that seems kind of cool to me, you know?
That low-key sounds nice. I'm not going to lie. I mean, there would definitely be downsides to it, but, yeah, I think that'd be cool. I like the sound of that.
What do you think about the policy at your school? Like, did you like it or did you not like it?
Coming here now, I can kind of see where, like, I know initially it was because, like, someone took a video and they posted it. They weren't supposed to do that. But I see, like, the point of, like, the ability to focus in class and, like, even if you're not on it, but, like, just its presence is just a distraction. Like, it in your pocket buzzing and the ability to take it out and check it. Like, when I went to school, I just left it in my locker because I didn't want to get a phone call and then the teacher would be like, hear it buzzing and be like, I need to take your phone. And then I have to get my parents to come pick it up. And it was just nonsense. But so I think it is definitely helpful.
In high school, bro?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I think it's definitely helpful I see the benefits of not having it for sure, for learning and distractions and also socializing. Yeah, I think it's like a maturity thing because like now I think it's good we have it and we have to learn to like manage our time properly and use it and not let it distract us. So I think it's good. But at that point in high school, I think it was good to not have it.
Mm-hmm. Because I feel like it helped you a lot. Yeah,
not everyone had the ability to focus with it still there.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. I feel like I'd be for a policy like that just because of the thing I brought up before that is generalized. Because I've always thought about parenting as well. Like, I know that phone's a distraction. I try to minimize my own phone usage, but and at the same time, there's all these debates about, like, what age do you get your son a phone? And even when we're parents, it's probably, like, there's going to be some new technologies we got to deal with at that point. But
yeah.
I've never been the person that wants to, just because I believe it's better to use it less and I believe that I like to use it less, I don't think I should, like, institute that in a forceful way where it's like, I'm going to take your phone from you.
Yeah.
And, I mean, again, it depends on the age and all that, but it never made sense to me to be, like, a strict rule parent that, like, you can't, like, all your friends have it, but you can't have it.
Yeah.
But when it's instituted to the whole, like, school, I'm more for something like that because I've always thought about, like, damn, imagine the world with, like, no phones.
Seriously.
Or, I mean, like, I know there's a lot of pros about it, of the phone usage. I mean, phones are great. They've unlocked so much for humanity. But they've also, in day-to-day life, it's a little bit of a problem. Yeah. So I've always thought, like, what would it be like if nobody had a phone. Like, what would social life look like? What would everything look like? It's like
I cannot imagine. I think about that all the time because, like, contacting people, I'd have to make plans in advance for, like, days ahead. You know, it's like I contact people like, hey, do you want to go grab dinner or something? And it would just be like, I would not be able to text someone and ask for dinner. We'd have to be like, okay, dinner every night at 7 o'clock, you know, and if you're running late, like, they're just not going to know if you didn't have a phone and there was no way of communicating that. So I always think it'd be super interesting.
Yeah. And that is huge. I mean, like, whenever I'm scheduling podcasts and stuff, like, it's useful to be able to, like, have that, to be able to access texting and contact. Like, that, I think contact is huge, but even, like, beyond contact, though, there's so much else on there that, like, imagine a world, like, for example, without social media. Like, what would that world look like?
Yeah, that would be crazy. That would be crazy. For me, a lot, it's like, I don't use like Instagram very much.
Okay.
I don't know. I just never got into it. I didn't have it. I didn't have a phone until like my freshman year in high school, and at that point, like, people were posting on Instagram, and like, it just didn't. I never thought like, oh, I should post this on Instagram. You know, it seemed more of a task to me, so I just never got into it. So a lot of social media is like, I know people communicate like as on Snapchat, and people classify that as social media, but like, it is like people post on stories and stuff, but I think of that more as like texting. Like, that's how I use it. But like TikTok is like,
oh my god,
that is my problem. Social media wise, it is terrible. Yeah, I'm not a fan.
So do you use it? Or?
Yeah, I do, and it's like the same with like, I went over on October break, whatever that was formerly called. Yeah, fall break. I went home and I was showing this clip to my dad. I don't even remember what it was, but I was on YouTube Shorts is where I ended up pulling it up because I was on my computer, and he watched it, and then like I must have scrolled or something, and then like he watched the next thing, and then like he scrolled again, and I went home for Thanksgiving break, and he's on YouTube Shorts on his phone, and I was like, oh, I just completely corrupted him. I was like, this is not good.
Yeah,
but
dude.
it's just like, it's crazy, it's addictive, and it's not good. It's
one of the most addictive things that humanity's designed. Like, I've talked to so many people that are like, yeah, I should probably stop using it. I deleted it the next day or two, download it again. Like,
seriously,
it's so hard to get off those apps, man. Have you ever tried to get off of it? Or?
Yeah, I have. And like, so I deleted it. And I deleted it for like a good amount of time. I tried to quit twice. One time I deleted it, and then I went to the bathroom. This was in high school, and I watch it when I go to the bath. I'm peeing and I'm watching it on my phone, or like I'm walking to the bathroom and watching it, and I was sitting there and I was like, what am I supposed to do? Yeah, I was just like almost twitching. I was like, what am I supposed to do? And so I downloaded it immediately then. And then another time I stopped using it, and then I like stopped using stuff like that for a little bit, but then I started watching like Snapchat Spotlight.
Oh my god. That's all the way you sent to the right? Is that one?
No, it's down, but it's like...
Oh, like, yeah.
It just... Okay. I don't know, it looks weird. But I used it... It's like significantly lower quality. I don't like the content on there. But... And then eventually people would like send me TikToks, and they're like, hey, you need to go look at this. And I was like, guys, I don't have TikTok. And then I just like got it again to look at TikToks people sent me, and now I'm back on the whole doom scrolling.
How long were you off for?
Probably like a month.
Okay.
Yeah, the longest. The other time it was literally a day. I went to the bathroom.
Take the bathroom.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
Yeah, dude, it's so hard to delete it, bro. I think the thing we mentioned with your dad is eye-opening to me because I've seen so many people of all kinds of ages on those apps. Like, my mom was on YouTube Shorts, and she struggles to get off it because it's so personalized and tailorized to what she likes.
Yeah.
Whether that's Indian news and like politics and business tutorials, like she follows those kind of YouTubers, and then she watches their shorts, and then like she's swiping too.
Yeah.
And obviously everyone in our generation it's so personalized to their interests. And then my dad was on Reels for a little bit, but then like I started quitting it, and he's like, oh, that's probably a good thing, so he quit it. Then that's a couple years ago. And then dude, the scariest thing is when I see like my grandparents on it.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah. That's something else. That blows my mind. I have like a boss at my summer job who is like a little bit older, and she like loves TikTok, and it's crazy. She's always proposing that we do things that she saw on TikTok, and I'm just like, what? It's crazy. It blows my mind.
I just remember every time you get off of scrolling, you never feel good.
No.
Even before you knew it was bad. Like, there's always a negative feeling that follows, and that's what it's like. It fucking ruins like your brain, your life. I hate it so much. You know, if I was
It's
the president, or I mean, obviously, president can't do that. But if I was in a position of power, I would. That's the one thing I'm against the most. Is like get rid of those fucking apps, bro.
Seriously, I'm not sure it's beneficial at all. Like, I mean, for the entertainment of the people, I guess. But there's never a point where I was like, oh, that would really helped me out.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even if you want entertainment, I feel like at least have a form of entertainment where you can actually remember anything you just watched.
Yeah, seriously.
That is even maybe slightly educational or a slightly kind of a storyline. Like movies, I feel like are great for the brain. You know, watch a movie, or even if you don't want to do something like a podcast or something, which might be a little bit more like strict or more like attention needed for that. But I mean, even like a movie, at least you're following the storyline, you're understanding it. But something like TikTok, man, dude, it's insane.
I know, it's crazy. Yeah, I feel like a movie even, it gives you like, there's like development of plot, and I feel like it inspires a little bit of creativity, but TikTok is just like however many seconds that clip is and it's gone. Sometimes I find myself like, the audio hasn't even played yet, and I like catch a quick glimpse of it and I'm already scrolled past it.
Yeah, and it's so weird a thing with social media that when you delete it, it makes you feel like you've been like taken out of society.
Seriously, yeah.
That's the first thing I got. I deleted TikTok first. I actually didn't find it that hard to delete TikTok, luckily.
That's good.
Because I think it was going into my sophomore. No, I was going to my junior year of high school, and it was the summertime, and I think I was in the same position on the toilet, and I'm like, dude, I gotta stop doing this, and I kind of started reading about how it was bad for you, so I deleted the app, and I have this like response for like a month where every time I'm on the toilet, I pick up my phone, I swipe down, I type in T, and it's like, wait, there's nothing there. Like the first app that comes up is like Trello or like where TikTok. Yeah. Like this, it's gone, and then it's like, oh wait, I knew like I didn't have the app, but I was like subconsciously trying to find it. It's like this thing inside my brain is like, where is it?
It's crazy. I had the same thing because I had it in a certain spot in like a category on my phone, and I would open it and click it every time, and it started opening like Netflix because that was the next thing. Yeah, after I deleted it, and I was like, I'm not even trying to watch Netflix right now, and I was like, oh my gosh.
It's so weird, man. I think I deleted Instagram a couple months later, and then I re-downloaded it within 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's so weird not having notifications.
I know, it's crazy. It just like becomes a part of your brain.
Yeah. And there's nothing good. I think, see, my thing is like I deleted it for junior and senior year, all social media. And then coming here to Mich, I re-downloaded Instagram and Snap. And I feel like I'm glad that I took those 2 years off because I feel like I can use it with more control now. Where it's like I had the Instagram app on my phone for the last 3 months, but I have not scrolled a single time on Reels or the homepage. And only use it if I'm like, I really need to find an account or something or text someone. So I definitely think it's possible to break it.
Yeah.
It's definitely hard. Yeah. It's one of the hardest things to do. But I think there is hope. I do think that making efforts toward it, like even if you re-download it in 2 hours, then just keep trying and trying. Like, I think it is possible to break it. You know?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something I need to try because I even find myself thinking like, well, I was thinking for a little bit, I was like, oh, I should delete it. But then I was like, well, we're going to be going home for Christmas break soon. And I have so much free time. Like, it's not going to be the end of the world. I'm probably going to do something relatively inefficient anyway. But then I was thinking, like, there's so many better things that I could do at that time. You know, I was like, I could just pick up a book. Like, that would be so much better. And so I think I'm going to try to break it before Christmas break.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's a lot of time, man. Especially if you're going home, the 13th, you said?
Yeah. Yeah, because
it's like a month, bro.
Yeah, I just do not want it next semester.
Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. I wish you luck.
Yeah, thank you.
What was that 1 month where you were able to go? What year was that?
Oh, it was like probably the spring, I think.
Of this year.
So
senior spring.
I think it was spring of junior year, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a point in spring of junior year where I was running track, and then I was lifting in the morning at a gym in my hometown at 5:30 before school. And so I had kind of just gotten in a rhythm, and I had to fall asleep at I would go to bed at 8:30. So I didn't really have the time to just lose time to TikTok because I would get home, or I would get done from school, go to track practice, get home, do homework, eat, and then just go to bed. And then I would wake up, go to the gym, and then go to school. So it kind of it got phased out with time. So that definitely made it easier. But yeah, it was a month period in the spring of my junior year.
But I gotta blow my nose. I'm a little sick right now.
Yeah, it's going around.
Yeah.
Do you always do the podcast in this room?
I have so far at Michigan. I've done let's see, 52 is the first episode I recorded here. This is 72. So of those 21 episodes, I've recorded all in this room except for one that I did in the Nicotine Valley Lounge.
Oh, nice.
You know that one?
Yeah.
Next to Jordan Lounge.
I think so.
Then I did one on North Campus because it was my math professor. And then I did one back at home when I went back for fall break. So,
nice.
But besides that, all in this room or that room or downstairs room, they all look the same. So they don't know that I keep switching the rooms.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I like the space, man. It's like, I feel like I wish it looked better.
Yeah.
I've been trying to fix the walls and stuff. That's how we got this and that now. But yeah, do you have ideas for how we can upgrade it?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Yeah, the color's a little weird.
That's everyone tells me.
Yeah.
I don't like that color, man. I gotta ask Joe, the janitor, if I could paint these walls. I wonder what he'd say. It'd be a fun project.
He'd probably say yeah. I don't know. I feel like the difference in here wouldn't be that big of a deal.
The color?
Yeah.
It'd make a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
changing this room would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I might actually go around campus. Angela, my video editor, marketing lead, asked me to go around campus and like just go through building to building and find rooms. So I'm probably gonna do that this weekend or the whole week. I'm here waiting for my 17th exam, December 17th exam.
What exam is that?
It's EECS 203.
Nice.
So I'm really just hanging around for a week and doing nothing. So I might just walk around campus, look for rooms, and maybe winter term this new spot.
Yeah.
But we'll see, man.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Going back to TikTok, I think your situation is really weird and interesting, actually, not weird, because as we talked about with the toilet, your brain kind of creates associations where you're not only addicted to TikTok, but you're addicted to TikTok in this setting, where it's like you're used to using it in this setting, whether that's the toilet or the bed or this certain time of day, and reading about like habits and breaking bad habits, a lot of the science behind it shows that it's a lot breaking the associations, like the place you do it. Like, for example, if you always do this bad habit at like 4 p.m. every day and like avoiding being in that place at 4 p.m. that day. Like if, for example, let's say there's your school's over at 3 and you have practice at 4 and you always find yourself scrolling on TikTok from 3 to 4, then it's like, okay, then don't go back to your room from 3 to 4 or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think the thing is with like TikTok is a lot of people use it before they sleep. And it kind of creates this weird illusion, because you feel like when you don't have it before you sleep, you can't sleep because your brain is like, I need that dopamine, but it's actually like impairing your sleep at the same time as you get addicted. So I think for you, so you started sleeping earlier, so you were able to kind of break that, because let's say you're always scrolling from 8 to 11, now you're like, I don't know, what time were you sleeping again?
8:30.
8:30. You're sleeping at 8:30?
Yeah, I was asleep at 8:30.
I think I missed that. That's crazy. Yeah, so now you're sleeping at like 8:30. It's like, okay, now I can't go scrolling. I gotta wake up at 5 to get to the gym at 5:30. Like, that's crazy, right? But did you have those same kind of mental issues, like, oh, I need that TikTok right now, I can't sleep, did that come to you or no?
I don't totally remember if it did at the beginning. It probably did right away, but pretty quickly, like by the time I got in bed at 8, I was super tired. Another thing that helped was I rearranged the setup of my room.
Oh, I've heard about that.
And my phone charger was not by my bed, and I have to charge my phone every night. And so like I wouldn't want to get up after watching TikTok to put my phone on the charger. So when I was up, I just put my phone on the charger, turn off the lights, and then just get in bed. And so that helped too, because I didn't have access to my phone right next to me.
Wow.
And I think that was good for a lot of reasons, because whether it's TikTok or whether it's something else, just like sometimes I find myself, I woke up in the middle of the night the other night to go to the bathroom, and then I was on Canvas because I was like, wait, did I turn in that assignment? And I just think like even that little bit of exposure at like 3 a.m. when I go on Canvas and I'm like trying to go through my course website, and like just that exposure to my phone, I think it just is not good for my sleep. Like it just disrupts the rhythm that I'm in. And so I think like the ability to have it not accessible from my bed was just really beneficial.
Yeah, the 3 a.m. Canvas is pretty interesting, because I think it does something to your brain, because I think the whole idea of sleeping is like calming the brain down, slowing the brain waves. And when you're checking that, first of all, you're getting exposed to light, which you don't want to get exposed to, but also just the idea of like checking assignments, it kind of turns on that part of your brain, like the dopamine seeking part of your brain, the cortisol part of your brain, where it's like, oh, I gotta look at this assignment, I gotta complete that task, and that's not like the state of mind you want to be in when you're sleeping. So I can see that. That's really interesting you bring up. But yeah, dude, I think sleeping at 8:30 is pretty impressive. You said you were always tired by that time?
Yeah.
Was that just because you've been up since 5:30? Like, fuck, I'm tired now.
Yeah, like I think so. Because by the time I'd get to school, like whatever, school started at. I think our school started at 7:50 for some reason. By the time I was in my first class, like I woke up at 5, drive to the gym at 5:30, and I felt like if you wake up at 8, that's like 11, right? You're 3 hours into your day. So by the time I was in my first class, like people are coming into school, and like I can see like people who live close, their like eyes are a little bit closed and their hair is messed up, and I was like, man, you just woke up. Like I feel like I am a fourth of the way through my day, you know, or like a fifth or whatever. I was like I'm awake. Like I could not be more awake. And that was really nice to get to by the time I was at class, because there's like a certain level of lack of desire to do things. I feel like right when I wake up, and working out was a way to like, when I get to the gym, I was like, I got to do this. And then once I'm awake, I'm just rolling. So I think that was really good. But yeah, I was just tired by 8:30.
Wow, that's impressive, man. I mean, I did like a 9 o'clock for a while, and I think when you do it every day, you get used to it.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're able to fall asleep right away. But,
yeah.
I do agree. The feeling of waking up in the morning and like getting something big done, and then going to class and seeing everyone start to wake up, like it's a pretty good feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that is, but you kind of feel more proud in a way. Like,
for sure.
That's like, I'm doing this shit with my time, and that's one of the reasons I can't like stop myself from like going to the morning gym anymore. It's like if I don't go to the morning gym, it's like I just haven't actually skipped the morning gym workout yet, just because I can't mentally do that.
Yeah.
It's weird, but I mean, it's happened to me before where I feel like, damn, like I remember one time, I usually don't wake up this early on Sundays, but on sometime in October, I woke up at I think 6:30, and the gym wasn't even open, so I was doing schoolwork all morning, and then got breakfast at 9. Then I went to the gym at 11. I got back at like 12:30, and then I saw my roommate wake up. I mean, he's doing better now, but back then it was like he was sleeping in a little bit. I'm like, damn, I've been awake for 6 hours, man. Like I just finished lunch.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here?
Yeah,
man?
I know. It's crazy. Someone hasn't even started breakfast yet. Yeah, that's one of the craziest things. I always think, because there was a while where it was like, well, at least for me, I like Fridays, I play football on Friday because I played football, so we'd have games Friday night. And so Saturday, it would be like, by the time we got home from the game, if it was an away game, like we get home, we have a bus ride at like 11:30. So then by the time that I get back to my house, it could be like 12, and then depending on the game, I could be hungry, whatever. I fall asleep Friday night at like 1, and that was just because I got back. So then I've gotten into this habit of Saturday, like I'm tired, I wake up at like 11 or 12. And then after a while, like you wake up at 11 or 12, and then you have like breakfast at that time. And then it's just like half the day is just gone.
It's the worst feeling, too.
You just lost half the day.
I just hate waking up at 11. It just makes me feel like a loser.
Yeah, and it's just like, that sucks. Like, yeah, that's not worth it.
Yeah, I can't do that, man. I mean, dude, what's your sleep routine now, like now in college? I feel like everyone's routine changes in college.
Yeah, it does. Like, when I was in high school, kind of throughout high school continuously, it was like, I tried to get to bed by like 9:30. Solid. Just because I like to have a lot of sleep. For some reason, I always hear people who are like, oh, I got 6 hours of sleep. Like, that just has me in a bad way.
Not good for you.
Yeah. But, so when I got to college, obviously I had to push a little bit later because everything just goes later. But I try to get to bed at like, depends on the day. I have a Thursday morning lab at 8 a.m. And then like Tuesday morning I have lift at 7 a.m. So those nights I try to get to bed a little bit earlier.
Cool. Team lift.
Yeah, team lift. It's good. So like 10:30 on those nights where I know I got to be up earlier, 9:45. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I aim for.
And wake up, is it changed by the day?
Yeah.
The 10:30 is still solid.
Yeah.
Time to go to sleep.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Yeah. How's cheerman, man? I mean, what kind of lifts you guys be doing for cheer?
It's good. It's like, ironically, it's kind of similar to the way I worked out for football, but it's a little bit more like. It's funny. I always hear this from people talking about high school football lifts. It's definitely safer in the aspect that we do a lot more for, like, our health, like our joint health, our muscle health. And so, like, we'll do exercises like we'll squat, for example, and then we'll do some sort of exercise or two after, kind of like a superset-esque thing. But it's like It's like you know what the bird dog is?
No, tell me.
It's like you're sitting on your, you can do it in a plank or you can do it. You're on your knees and your elbows, and then you put your arm up and your other leg up, and then bring it back down. And it's just kind of a core and the lower back stabilization.
Wait, so kind of like
exercise? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so it's good because
but
like
obviously more, right? Like
yeah.
a little more, yeah.
Yeah, on the ground. And it's good because it like
on the ground?
Yeah.
How does that work?
It's like here, I'll show you.
Yeah, show me. But the camera's still going?
Yeah.
Alright, cool.
It's like if you did it in a plank like this, but we do it like this, and you're like this.
Oh. That was difficult?
It activates your core for sure, and your lower back, which I think is good because like as you warm up to squat, obviously you get more prepared to like move around a heavy weight, but that activation just kind of like loosens you up in a way that I think is really good. So we do stuff like that, and we do like rotator cuff, strengthening stuff. We bench, kind of just the basic lifts. We don't do like, I think of it as like bodybuilder lifting. Like we don't hit biceps and triceps.
Yeah, you don't need to.
No, not for what we do. We do a lot of shoulder stuff, shoulder pressing, because we got a lot of over the head movement.
Yeah, definitely. Shoulders are a big part of cheer.
Huge part, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I never would have imagined that there's a cheer team lift. That's actually sick. But it makes a lot of sense because you require a lot of strength to do that kind of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of strength. It's a lot of strength.
What are some of the craziest movements you guys done? I think I remember one of the games you had like a whole triangle going like.
Yeah, the craziest thing to me is I know for sure there are definitely group stunts that are hard. For our competition in the spring, we're working on group stunts because it's kind of like a group competition. And so those that we're doing right now for sure get more advanced. But I think one of the craziest things to me is just individual, like co-ed stunts with the guy and the girl where they throw like stuff where they've got them. It's called a liberator, where they have them like both feet on one hand and stuff. And there's a bunch of variations.
You done that before?
I have not, no.
Oh my God.
No, the furthest I've gotten to right now is just, we call it a pump extension, where you throw them up, catch their feet, and then you got them over your head. But yeah, stuff like that, and then they can do like a rewind into it where they like backflip into those stunts. It's just crazy.
Wow.
And it's so much strength, and it's so much coordination from the guy and the girl.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a lot of respect for people who do that kind of work, man. Because, like, I love physical activity. And every time I'm like, there's another form of physical activity that requires, like, strength and flexibility and all these skill sets. Like, you're developing a lot of skill sets through there. And a lot of them are good for longevity, too. Like, like stability and balance. Like, you're developing a very different form of strength that a lot of people will not even get access to that kind of skill set. That's really cool, man.
Yeah, it always blows my mind just because I, like, kind of had participated in a wide variety of sports. The different kind of like nuances to each sport and like the way it affects your body in different ways. Like for cheer, I've noticed like compared to football, I guess, is a huge change in flexibility, especially in like the hip flexors, because we just have to get low so much more. And in football, it's just a lot of that power, short distance, like strength, and everything just like starts to lock up. Like even my change from swim to football,
especially with just
like
lifting,
putting my arms above my head after football, it was just like so much less range than swim. So yeah, it's crazy, all the sports and they're different, like the way your body just changes to adapt.
How important do you think flexibility is for a healthy lifestyle?
I think it's huge. I think it's huge. I think it's a big deal because I think that the ability for your muscles to have their full range of motion is super important to being healthy, and just their health as in like what they're able to withhold or withstand. So I think that's huge. I think just having them in their full range of motion is just, it helps other parts of the body. I think it helps your other muscles. And I think it just like, it allows you to bear weight in the most efficient way possible. I think it's huge for your health.
Yeah, and I think it's very interesting because most people are not going to get access to a sport that emphasizes flexibility as much as either cheer or even gymnastics or calisthenics emphasize it a lot. Because most people, if you look at the overwhelming majority of people, their form of physical activity is the gym and running.
Yeah. And
the gym is great for bodybuilding and strength building, but it does like tighten up the muscles. It does make it difficult to do like stretching movements. Like I found it. I remember as a kid, like it's so easy to do all these movements, and it slowly gets harder and harder and harder.
For sure,
time.
yeah.
But people who play sports have an advantage definitely, because you're kind of using your muscles in this kind of a different way each time, where your body's kind of used to being in these different positions. So especially sport like wrestling that I did, or even sports like basketball, there's like dynamic movements you're going through. But again, like the S tier elite is cheer, gymnastics, calisthenics. And what advice would you give to someone who's either in category A, just as bodybuilding and strength building, just goes to the gym, goes on runs, and they are realizing that, damn, I need to get more flexible. Like, I don't stretch. I tell myself I'll stretch, but I do it like once a month. Like, what can they incorporate in their life to at least take one step toward where you're at with flexibility?
Yeah, so I think there was a period of time, obviously I didn't know I was going to cheer in my transition from my senior year of high school to coming here. And so my biggest thing was I ended in track, and track was a lot of when things aren't loose, when you come into the season not really being in the shape of a runner, stuff hurts.
Sorry to cut you off. We have to wait for that. It's going to pick it up, so
okay.
Don't lose your thought.
We'll not lose it.
All right, I think we can continue. So right where you left off, you can start from the beginning or just continue. Topic of flexibility and advice to people who don't play those sports. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think in my transition, I had a period of time where I thought that probably in my college career all I was going to do was independent exercise, and coming out of track and really highlighted all those places that I felt like I was really tight, specifically like my hip flexor, and then I was experiencing a little bit of knee pain, which I think is probably more due to my shoes and just mileage, but so I really wanted to make it a point to exercise and incorporate stretching and mobility. And I think the thing that I learned is as much of a deal as you make it to hit arms, right, and curl and squat and bench, you've got to make it as big of a deal to do mobility stuff if you really want to see a difference. Because I think it's easy to be like, oh, well, one day a week I'll do it. And then you might miss that day of the week. Or you might say, I'll do it before I lift. And then you get 7 minutes before you lift and you do a little bit of stretching. And
yeah, fuck this.
It's all right. You're like, whatever. I'll start lifting. You have to make it as big of a priority as you make every other aspect of exercise. And so I think that's one of the hardest parts, whether it's going to, mostly because of time, right? It's just a battle for time, always. So you can't really afford to give 30 minutes before every workout to it. But whether it be twice a week, you really just commit, or it be you're going to work on a few things, right? You're not going to maximize your hip flexibility and your knee stability and your ankle stability and your rotator cuff mobility and strength. You're not going to optimize all that at the same time. So I think really just making a point, probably more than you think you need to, of working on that stuff and being consistent with it. Even before things that I started to do, for swimming, one of the biggest things was ankle flexibility, because coming from football, my ankle flexibility was terrible. Oh my gosh, I couldn't even break 90 degrees. I mean, obviously could, but barely. So one of the things I started to do was before bed, I would just sit, like when you just sit on your heels, legs folded.
No.
It's like, you just like, so like you're kneeling and then you just lean back.
Yes.
On your ankles.
So you're kind of on your toes?
A little bit, and then bring your foot back.
So you have to show me this.
Yeah, I got it. So like this was something that I really just couldn't.
Yes,
do.
got you.
I don't know why. I think it was just because of football. So that was something I started doing, like, if I'd be sitting talking to my parents before I was to go up to bed, that was something that I would do. Just sit there while I'm talking to them on the floor and just sit in that stretch. And that was something that just accelerated my ankle flexibility. Like it took like 2 months, and it was so much better. So I think consistency and really making a point to do it. And there's so much time to do it if you start just picking random parts of your day to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you read, you can stretch while you read. Watch
That's
TV,
true.
stretch while you watch TV.
Yeah. Interesting. So I think the biggest challenge is that the progress is kind of invisible at first.
For sure.
Because I think bodybuilding is like, oh my God, like I'm getting muscle. Oh my God, next week I'm already lifting like twice the amount of weight. And I'm stretching here. Like I feel like this just hurts and it sucks. I'm not doing anything. What's the point? I'm not going to get jacked from doing this.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the mental struggle a lot of people go through. And I also will admit that these days when I squat and stuff, I get a lot more pain than I used to in my hips. And I have not got much knee pain. From hiking, I was hiking over break. And I would notice that for the first mile, which is usually uphill, my lower back hurts. And the area below my calves hurt. I wouldn't say it's my ankle, but it's like right above my ankle, but near my calf, but it doesn't feel like my calf. For the first mile, and then my body gets used to it. For the rest of the hike, it won't hurt. I wonder, can you I guess I can ask you two questions. One, but the first thing I asked you was, like dealing with invisible progress, and like what is the progress that you see along the way, and like how can you like assure yourself that this is working, and like what am I actually even working towards when I say flexibility and mobility. And the second thing is like those specific cases that I saw, like what can I do to, I guess, build that strength or mobility there.
Yeah, so I think to address the first question, I was a little bit, I guess I wouldn't say lucky given the circumstances, but I had a scenario where, what year was it? My junior year, coming out of swim season, my sophomore year, maybe the summer of my sophomore year, going into my junior year, freshman year, we were football lifting, and I did hang clean. We were practicing. We were doing hang cleans, and then we went into a power clean, and I did a rep of power clean, and just like my back, I just tweaked my back.
Oh.
And then I was all like rigid, and I was like, I went on a road trip, and I was like, oh my gosh. And so like it just hurt. And so kind of for the rest of the summer, I just kind of was like, so like I asked my coach, anytime we squat, can I leg press, right? Because it's just, and I won't clean anymore. So that's what I did. And then swim season, it kind of hurt, but the water is just so much more conducive to muscle movement that just is not painful. I mean, joints and stuff. So it was fine. And then I went and did a start at our conference meet, and there's kind of some fast movement in there, and really just tweaked it. And then it got to the point where I almost like I was just laying after the conference meet. I kind of just laid flat, and if I would get up, it hurt, and walking around just really hurt. It was to the point where it was like tears to my eyes. And so I went to the doctor, and I got an MRI, and it ended up that I have a degenerative disc and then a slipped disc. And so there's certain exercises you can do to kind of encourage that slip disc unslip a little bit. And so I went to physical therapy, and like it was just the most discouraging thing, because I'd like go to physical therapy for 2 weeks and my back still hurts. And so it was like, this sucks, right? Like my back still hurts. I don't think this is doing anything. Like, why am I even doing these exercises? Kind of like you said, like invisible progress. It's just like, what am I doing? But then I kind of was at the point where I was like, okay, this sucks, but this sucks. Like, this is what I have to do, they say. And otherwise, I'm not doing anything, and it still hurts, right? If I don't do these exercises, it's not getting better. And so I kind of just did them. And then eventually it started to hurt less, and they kind of taught me some lifting technique that was helpful. And so it did end up like showing the progress. My back didn't hurt as much, and I still do the exercises, and my back doesn't hurt as much. And so it's great. And so then I kind of was able to take that into other parts of my life with the consistency, and like this, I don't really see it, right? Like my muscles are still tight, but just keep doing it, because I know one day I'll start to see the progress. And also in sports, that kind of came through because we have to stretch every day. Like whether like you don't really choose to, the coach makes you stretch. And then you realize at the end of the season, oh, I can lean a little bit further in my hamstring stretch than I could before. And so like I kind of got past the point where there's that invisible progress, but historically it's always worked. And it's better to just do it and not worry so much about exactly how you're progressing, and just kind of know whether you set a time period, in 3 months, like for 3 months I'm going to do this, or just say I'm going to just keep doing it, and I know one day it will get better. And I know that that's definitely something that can be hard to do, and that's why it's not easy for everyone to do. That's why not everyone does it. But I think that's definitely something that you just have to have in your mind. And then for specifics regarding like muscle tightness and stuff, I think it's definitely like the frequency of the activity. Now, obviously, you aren't able to just go hike a lot, but like hiking, I was a Boy Scout, and hiking is something that like takes some suspiciously high toll on the body. I don't know why it is so hard to do, but yeah, it's like it hits all the joints in all the wrong ways. Yeah. But I think the more I did it, the easier it got. And also, there's like I would like supplement with some other exercises, some shin stretching exercises. The day I started doing shin stretching exercises, I did not stop, because track too, shin splints and stuff, no joke. So for sure, stretching the front side of your shin and kind of that back side.
Is back side of the shin like behind your calf?
Yeah.
I thought the shin was only in the front.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying the shin, and then it's really just your calf.
Okay.
And definitely like in that deep stretch, like kind of lengthening out and getting your Achilles some tension and stuff. I think it's important. Also, a lot of that stuff you like I like to just hit a Google search sometimes. Hey, I have pain here. And then just do
The stretch.
take a culmination of all the stretches and kind of try to decide which one I think is going to be best for me.
Yeah, back pain scares me the most just because it runs in my family. I think my mom had a slip disc at one point, and it was terrible for her, and she's still to this day. This is what, like, it can't be 9 years ago, dude. Is it more than 9 years ago? I was in third grade when this big event happened. What are we in? 13? Like a decade ago.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I remember she had this big incident where I remember woke up and I heard her like crying so loudly, and like howling. My dad was trying to massage her back, and she was just in so much pain. And we had to rush her to the ER. And we were young at the time. I was in third grade. My sister was 4 years younger.
Yeah,
so
it's scary.
went to the ER with her. Then I remember we had to go to IHOP after. They dropped us to school a little late, and it's like you're coming late to school. But yeah, I remember for that day onward, like she'd have constant back pain. She still gets it to this day. I think it's improved, but physical therapy and doing stretching. She does a lot of stretching, a lot of walking, and it's crazy the long tolling process that she had to go through. My dad is not as severe, but he'll get upper back pain, and he can't even hold a backpack. He can hold a backpack, but after like 20, 30 minutes, like he'll get severe pain in his back. Same with me. I can't even hold a backpack for like more than. Ooh, that's rough. We'll leave that for now.
Yeah.
I can only hold a backpack for like 15, 20 minutes before like he'll start hurting. So, it's my sister has mild scoliosis. Nothing too crazy where it's impacted her, but the doctor did diagnose her like mild. So it's something that runs in my family, and it's one of the weird things where the pain is like it's constant in the background. And that's what sucks. It's not like just one excruciating pain. It's like you got to deal with it for a while, and it sucks, man. It's like
Yeah. It is crazy. It's really affecting. It's like, now I think about it sometimes because whenever I use like my core and back, something to stabilize, like I'll relax, and it's like just like this tension and tight pain, and I'm always like, what was it like when I didn't have lower back pain? But yeah, similarly, my dad had the same thing, and he had to have surgery, and they told him he couldn't play contact sports when he was like 10.
No.
Yeah. So it was similarly. I think it's definitely something that, if you have it genetically, I think it's hard to avoid. But yeah.
Let's fix that.
Yeah.
It lasted for like an hour.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm not sure. Oh,
Should I get another one? Another strip?
you might need to.
Yeah, I mean, we could say it's genetic, but at the same time, I feel like the prevalence of back problems that people complain about today versus the hunter-gatherers, I don't think they're walking around with like, oh, my back hurts today. Like, I feel like it's more of a modern problem.
Yeah.
And I don't really know why.
I think so for sure, too. And ever since I had back pain, they talk a lot about how your, like, exercises that I ended up doing were just kind of a lot of, like, downward dog and then whatever that one's called, scorpion or something. But so then it reminded me a lot of my posture, and I find my back hurting if I'm sitting for a while. And so it's kind of just, like, forced reminding me to have good posture. And I think a lot of it is posture. We spend so much time sitting. And so I think, we definitely sit more than the hunter and gatherers did. So I think,
yeah.
I think as we just get more, or I guess less mobile as the years go on, I think we just have more problems.
Yeah, the hunter-gatherers are not doing downward dogs, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely
they didn't have the back problems to begin with.
Yeah.
And I think sitting is such a problem, dude. This is not a good way to live.
No, it is not.
We're like this in the classroom, in the car, when we're watching TV, we're doing homework. Like, besides the 2-hour block we set aside for exercise, even if you do end up doing that, which even if you were doing like bicep curls, you're probably sitting down too.
Yeah, right.
At least you go on runs, you're active, you're walking around, you're active. I definitely feel better when I'm at school just because I'm moving around so much. But yeah, the sitting down is a problem, man. And I bought a sit-up desk at home, actually.
Did you?
I can't really use it here because it doesn't fit inside the thing.
Oh my gosh, I was just thinking about stand-up desks.
Dude, they're sick.
When I was in elementary school, they like made everyone get stand-up desks. They just eliminated all of the sitting desks, and everyone had a stand-up desk.
In what school? Elementary?
Yeah.
That's sick.
And I was like, this is weird. But it was not weird. It was awesome. Like, it was awesome.
It feels good.
Yeah.
Like, you get used to it. Like, your feet start to hurt. You're like, this is good. My feet are hurting. That's good.
Yeah. We had that. We had a little bar on the bottom, and you could like,
I can show you
put
mine.
your
It's in my
foot
room.
on it and swing it.
No,
It was
we didn't
fun.
have that.
That was the added elementary school. It was really like, everyone had to have one in 4th grade because our teacher like kind of took the creative liberty to use her budget to buy them because she believed that it was important. And then they were just kind of spotty through the rest of the elementary school.
Yeah.
But they were awesome.
Yeah, mine is the one I just you buy and you literally put on top of the table. So you can like pull a lever to go make it higher and lower.
Oh, that's sweet.
So it's kind of small and compact. You can kind of carry it around with you if you want. Not really, but kind of. Like we were in New Hampshire going to my senior year for the summer, so I literally threw it in the back of the car and brought it with me to New Hampshire.
That's awesome.
But yeah, my mom got it. She actually, the company she works for actually bought it for her during COVID. Not bought it for her, but like they get like either discounts or they can choose like you get like some product for free as an employee there. So she got that. She used it for like a while with her back problems. Then she kind of stopped using it. So like if you're not using it, I'll use it.
Yeah, right.
I think my junior year spring, I started using it, and dude, I love it. It's like you're doing homework, like you're setting up, doing homework, like whatever you do, like all day. Like definitely at summer, like you're mostly in your room all day. If you're not, like you go with your friends out, but like not every single day, all day, like probably over here. So I mean, it helped a lot, man. Just being able to not sit on my ass all day.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the best feelings. It's one of the best feelings. In the summer I lifeguard, and when I come home I like to take my shoes off, and when I come home and my feet are like raw because I was just pacing on the cement all day. There's something about it that's like, all right, no, that was a good day. Like feel accomplished from I didn't spend my day sitting. You know?
Yeah, it feels good.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you had knee pain at one point, but you think it's because of your shoes.
Yeah, there is in running, especially when you're not used to running. There's so much. I really struggled to get a good shoe for a while because it's definitely a science finding the right shoe for your foot.
Are shoes good for you?
It's a good question. It's a good question.
It can't be, right?
I don't know. I always go back and forth because like when I like to lift, there's pretty much no lift I would rather do in shoes than do barefoot. Like I like to squat. I mean, not barefoot because I don't have my dogs out in the gym, but socks. Like I like to squat in socks. I don't really deadlift anymore because of my back, but like pretty much everything would be fine in socks. But at the same time, I can't imagine running barefoot.
That would suck.
It would suck.
How they do it for so long?
Right? I don't know.
Years, bro.
I guess they didn't run for fun. They didn't just go out and
the
run.
bear.
Yeah, right. They had on. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess it's good. I don't know. I don't know. Have you seen like when people have those shoes that have the toes?
Maybe. What are they called?
I would just call them toe shoes.
Shoes. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, just hit a quick Google search. I know those are like for a while they were a little bit popular. I know they make toe socks like that too.
These ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
My dad has a pair.
What are the benefit of these ones?
They're like a sock basically that you can wear outside because they don't. At least the ones my dad have, they don't have support. It's just flat, and then they cover your whole foot. And he used to go on walks with them on. He doesn't as much anymore. I don't know why, but definitely not in the winter because I think they would just be too cold.
Yeah.
But also he has super significant foot problems, so he's always been trying to find a good shoe. He just wears Crocs all the time. That's all he ever wears. But
is there a reason behind that? Like a science reason he uses Crocs? Or just like that's what he's used to?
It's just because it fits the best. He has plantar fasciitis, and it is just the most comfortable.
Okay.
Like he's a doctor and he wears Crocs to work.
So I feel like they're pretty stiff. No Crocs.
I don't know. He has like they have some of his Crocs have inserts in them, and then some of them are just basic Crocs. Yeah, it's a little weird to see a full-grown man walking around in Crocs. But.
Yeah. I remember when I first bought these shoes. I was like freshman year of high school, and I still wear them like every single day.
It's good when you find a good pair.
Find a good pair, like just wear it every day for the rest of your life.
Seriously, yeah.
I remember when I first bought these, I was like worried about creasing them, so I'd walk around like a stick, and I don't think that was good for my feet. And I don't think these shoes in general are good for my feet. They were like flat, like they don't round well. So
yeah.
I don't know. I'm a little worried about it more than I read about it, and same thing like here in Michigan, I'm wearing them like all day, whether that's in the dorm. Like I'm barely in my dorm. Besides when I'm going to bed. Mm-hmm. So wherever I am, I'm always wearing these. And that worries me a little bit. And I remember when we lived in India, when I was there over the summer, I was staying with my dad's side of the family in a village. And the gym over there, like they have a no shoe policy.
Really?
And they keep everything super clean. And it was actually nice because I feel like that's how you're supposed to do it. You know, like lifting barefoot, I think is better.
Yeah, it sounds nice.
Yeah, I couldn't do that here, and it's disgusting.
Yeah.
I personally hate looking at people's feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
yeah, and the gym is not a clean place here.
Yeah, dude. But it's weird, dude. Like all these, I feel like these days everything's bad in a way. So I don't want to go too far deep and like this is bad for you, that's bad for you. But I think those two are big ones though. Like your shoes, and I think sitting down is probably the biggest one.
Yeah.
And I think that's something we should at least care more about. Like try to stay more active, like stand up desk and like start moving all day. And it helps me here because I feel like I average a lot more steps here, like 12,000 to 15,000 a day. So
yeah,
that helps a little bit, but
Yeah, for sure. It is hard to not be like everything if you do is bad for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I was reading like Band-Aids are bad for you too. Because of
Really?
the chemicals in them. And then on an open wound. Yeah. But let's not go too far.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. So what would you prescribe me as flexibility, mobility, protocol? I can start doing with my workout. So I work out for about an hour and a half a day, pretty much every day. Yeah, what would you recommend?
It's hard. I feel like there are definitely multiple ways to go about it in schools of thought. I had a friend who was on my swim team who was a senior when I was a freshman, and his belief, he was like, he could put himself in like a human pretzel and do the splits. He was crazy. And his belief was you just sit in a stretch until your muscles, because, you know, stretching hurts, right? You're like, I'm not supposed to bend this way. His belief was you sit in a stretch long enough that your muscles kind of just relax and give in.
Give an example, like in butterfly.
Like the stretch.
Like, so you said sit in a stretch. Like, what do you mean by sit in a stretch?
Like, as in, like, legs spread, just leaning forward, holding your feet. Another one that we used to do was, like, sit against the wall with your feet against the wall and, like, your butt to the wall. And that, depending on your flexibility level, that can be a really good stretch. And that's something you just have to sit in. I used to be
So, like, my feet are up, straight up.
Yeah.
And I'm, like, lying on the ground?
Yep, back to the ground.
For how long?
So I used to do this class, and I think, gosh, I don't even remember. It'd be something you'd have to look up. But there is, I don't know if it's like it might be 5 minutes. But they say to expand your flexibility, you have to sit in a stretch for a certain duration of time. So it's not like, let's hold this for 15 counts. You know, like you're supposed to stretch for an extended period of time and sit in a stretch for that period of time. So I don't know. It's something I definitely would have to do more research on, but we did it a little bit we had it for my senior year for football. Our coach brought in a woman who was a mom of one of the players who ran a yoga class, and she had us do that stuff to try to make us more mobile. And it did help, for sure. But yeah, so it's definitely something you need to sit in longer. I think yoga's really good.
Yeah, talk to me about that. Is that something you do?
Oh, I started doing it right before I left. Here, I wouldn't do it because it would be hard to go do, and it's also so expensive.
Really?
It's so
no clubs or anything that do it for free or no?
Well,
I mean, you have to play for clubs here too.
I think it's probably, if you really were to do it, I think it's just best to get, like, they do subscriptions. It's like a year pass. It's expensive. It's really expensive when you think about what it's doing, because you're really just walking in there and, like, moving your body. I mean, they're instructing you on how to do it, but it just does not feel like a service that is worth that much money. But I think it's really good. I did it because they had where I'm from, they have, I think it's free. We have a boat called the LST.
A boat?
It's like...
On Lake Michigan?
So it's an LST, which was used in World War II. It might be World War I. But it held tanks.
What's the LST? Is that the name of the model?
That's like, yeah, and it stands for...
Before I figure this out, LST boat.
I don't remember the actual name. They used to call it, as a joke, the large, slow-moving target.
It says here it's a land ship tank.
Land ship tank, yeah. So it would hold a bunch of tanks.
World War II.
Because it would bring them to shore, and then the, like, thing opens, and the tanks just roll out. And I think there's 2 of them left in the United States, and we have one in Muskegon. I actually did my Eagle project for them. But they have free yoga on that.
Wait, the ship?
On the deck of the ship.
Is this like a historical site?
Yeah.
Or is it a real active one?
No, it's a historical site.
Okay.
Yeah, no. It is not active.
That's sick. And this is you said
Muskegon.
Muskegon.
Yeah.
Oh wow. That's
so
sick,
they do.
dude.
Yeah. So Wednesdays they did free yoga, and then there was like a 20 for 20. You get, like, for $20 you could have 20 free days of yoga. So
that's
I did
sick.
That. So I got
that's
probably
actually a really good deal.
Yeah, it was a good deal.
Wow.
Probably like 30 sessions of yoga before I left.
Your first time you said this summer you started, or?
Yeah.
Okay. How was the experience?
It's really good. It's really good, and it's a little bit. There are varying degrees of how spiritual it is. And depending on what any person believes, it can be a little different. But it's definitely something I think that is worth consideration by everyone. And even if you don't necessarily, like, get down with all the spiritual aspects, there's something about that dedicating 45 minutes to, like, the music they play, and they talk in kind of a softer voice, and you're stretching. And every time by the end, they always usually have you sit in some restful position right at the end. And they've got music playing, and they just kind of give you like you kind of take the time to do sort of a once over of yourself and like shake out all the. It's so relaxing, and it is an amazing way to start the day. I never felt so restful.
That's how you did the first thing in the morning?
That's what I did it on weekends.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's almost as much for your mind as it is for your body.
It's so much for your mind. It's awesome.
It's amazing, bro.
I think it'd be good at the end of the day too. But
yeah, before going to bed.
Yeah, right. Just take all the day's stress and just kind of relax.
Dude, so have you ever tried doing it on your own, or that's mostly in a group is probably better?
Yeah. It's a little bit harder. There's just like we said, there's just so many distractions. If you're on your own, it's like, oh, my phone's buzzing.
Yeah, you don't know what you're doing half the time without an instructor.
Yeah, that's the other thing. They really guide you through it. I don't really get the whole science. If you're down to like check
one of the ones local out, I'm down to come with you, man.
Yeah.
We can try out some of the local Ann Arbor ones and see what it's like.
Yeah.
I've heard so much about how it's good for you.
Yeah.
Like, again, go back to flexibility, mobility, pain, mind, mental, like mind-body connection, all that shit. So
yeah, seriously. I think it's awesome.
Amazing. Do you feel any big changes on a macro scale? Like, obviously, we talked about the micro level. You feel more awake. You feel more rested.
I think from a restful standpoint, generally I feel more restful. Certainly right after it, I felt very restful. And it was funny because, like, whenever I go to the gym, I kind of approach the gym with, like, almost like a heavy metal rock kind of attitude where I'm always like, let's go. Like, let's kill it. And it was funny because a couple times the way yoga worked out, I wanted to do yoga before the gym. And I would get out of yoga and I would just be like...
I can't get into heavy metal mode.
I don't want to. Like, I don't want... Like, I'd rather go for a run or something. Yeah. Like, I just can't... So it definitely, like, right after, it changes the mindset. But I think overall, it's like for stress, I think it's super important. Because just taking that time to kind of just let go of everything and separate from the rest of your life, I think is just amazing. Wow. Because sometimes it just gets to be a lot. Like I said with the sleeping thing, like waking up and worrying about an assignment, like I've been up for 30 seconds. It's just like nonsense. It's like at that point you're like, something's got to change. Yeah. So I think for sure it's like it's a break, and I think it's really good.
Wow.
For your health.
You mentioned that some people lean into the spiritual side of it, some people don't. Do you find yourself leaning to the spiritual side of it or no?
I don't think I've done enough to really connect with the spiritual side of it. There's a whole, like, I wouldn't say lore, but I don't know, there's like knowledge about it that I just don't have. I think it could be something to consider, but I don't know. It's kind of, it runs into a little bit of dangerous territory sometimes because, like, I'm Catholic, so sometimes it a little bit like conflicts. But I think it's something to consider for someone who wants to consider it.
So when we talk about the spiritual side of yoga, like, what really is it if you had to explain it more deeply?
It's a lot about, like, your spiritual aspects and, like, kind of your soul and how certain parts of yourself are connected to the different parts of your soul. Mm-hmm. And they talk a lot about where certain things lie, as in, like, your stress or your anxiousness or the thoughtfulness of your mind, and where in your body that kind of happens and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty involved. Some of the stuff I don't quite get, but
interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure with time things start to click and more.
For sure.
Yeah,
it's something to look into. But
you feel there's a conflict with Catholicism, or
a little bit?
Where's that lie?
They just have there's a lot of faith in the spirituality aspect, whereas in Catholicism it's a lot more of like everything is kind of granted through God and based in God. And for sure there's spirituality and like has to do with your body and your mind, but it's a little bit less geared towards kind of just like in yoga, it's almost like an existence that flows through us, and it's a little bit less concentrated on God rather.
It's interesting, man. How big is Catholicism in your life? Is that something you care about deeply, or?
Yeah, I think definitely it's gotten, now that I'm busier, unfortunately, I hate to say it, now that I'm busier, it's a little bit less of a big deal. Like when I was at home in high school, there was like, I could count on one hand in 4 years how many times I had not gone to church on a Sunday. And we went to Mass. We held Mass at our school because it was a private Catholic school. So it was like I was going to Mass twice a week, every week. I mean, obviously not in the summer. And then I was a Eucharistic minister at my church, which is like in Catholicism, I don't know how much you know, but we distribute the host, which is the body of Jesus, the Son of God. And so you go through a kind of a certification process to help assist doing that at the Mass. The priest does it, and then there's extraordinary ministers of the Eucharist who do it. So I was an extraordinary minister of the Eucharist, and so like I was pretty involved. But as I've gotten here, yeah, it becomes harder. I have a study group on Sundays, and depending on what's all going on Saturday, sometimes I sleep in, and then sometimes I try to make a late Saturday night Mass or a later Sunday, but it just gets harder. And unfortunately, I've started to miss it a little bit more, yeah.
Interesting, man. So I guess when you think about life and the universe, do you ever think about like your role in that or no?
Oh my gosh. It's so big. And every time I think about when I start to think big picture like that and like the universe, for some reason every time I get to this thought that it always manifests to me kind of in like a video game where you're like playing a character, and I think like I always get back to this like we are a character, but kind of tragically it always comes back to death. Like one day you can just close your eyes and that's it. You know what I mean? Like every day you wake up and look in the mirror and like that existence is just like can just end. And so every time I think big picture, I always come back to that because that just blows my mind. Like everything I've ever done or ever is could just not exist one day. And I think that definitely motivates me to do more, you know, because then I come back and I'm like, well, you know, I could, like my existence could just not be, and I'm sitting here on TikTok for an hour. And so it's kind of like a little bit makes me realize like I gotta get some stuff done, do something that matters. But the universe is just so hard to comprehend. The whole thing is so hard to comprehend.
It's weird, man. So you kind of imagine life as a video game and you're the character in the video game.
Yeah, but like, yeah, to me, I'm so used to playing as characters, right? Like on a console and like, oh yeah, it ended. But I am like an existence that can end like that. You know, we're playing a story game. And
what does the ending of the game mean, though? That's the big question.
That's the question.
Yeah.
What happens when the game ends?
So you're saying that it motivates you to make at least this game a good game?
Yeah.
Do more?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I don't think I've met someone who's thought about it in that way yet. But
yeah, it's a little bit. It messes you up if you think about it for too long.
Yeah. I mean, it's fucking complicated, man. I think it's cool how there's something about the human brain that always finds some way to deal with it. The vastness. I mean, I think we're bad at estimating big things. Like, big numbers don't really make sense to our brain. Big scales, small scales don't really make sense to our brain. But I don't know. When there's something so vast and so complicated, we'll find a way to build a story around it so we can just cope with it.
Yeah.
And everyone has their own way of doing it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, man. Were we talking about yoga?
Yeah, right. Came from yoga.
Yeah. Cool. So we've talked about stretching, yoga, mobility. Out of all the things you've done, so you've done cheers is just something you just picked up, right?
Yeah.
So you played football in high school.
Yeah.
You played soccer.
I played football. I swam.
Swam, right?
And then my first 2 years of high school, I played baseball, and then my last started in track.
Nice. Yeah. So track, football, swimming, cheer, yoga, stretching, gym. Out of all the things you've done, what do you think has been the most beneficial thing to your overall state of body health? Like the one thing you think about, yeah, that was like the best thing I've done for myself. And this could even be beyond sports, honestly, if you want. So it's up to you.
In terms of body health, probably swimming. I think swimming just has your body in a way that, like, kind of going back to like our ancestors and stuff. I think swimming most closely has your body in a way that it's meant to be. You know, like when we talk about lifting and bodybuilding and stuff, like especially when you like, I think about it when you go to the doctor and they're like, you're obese. You know what I mean? You're like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm just bulking or something like that. I think lifting and stuff has us in a way that's like not quite how we're meant to be. I think there's a certain level of leanness and like survival state that really is how we were intended to be. And so I think swimming is probably closest to that. I think otherwise, in how much it's contributed to my development as a character, I guess, probably, I don't know, they all offer so many things. Maybe football. I haven't been much into cheer yet, but probably football, just because it's just taught me so many things. Whether it be like if you want something, you got to really work for it, or that even when things get hard, keep working. Also kind of like things I didn't even expect to learn. Like my junior year, I got a concussion in our last game of the season. Yeah, it was not good. I hit heads with the dude on like, it was play 27 or something, and I left the game on play 73.
No, you
yeah,
pushed through
it was first quarter, and I left third quarter because concussions are
So
crazy.
were you dizzy at all? Or like, what was it like?
It was funny because I sat down at halftime, and we have a coach that graduated in 2014 who's back. His dad is our head coach, and he's been there for like, oh my gosh, like 60 years or something, or probably 50 years, I think now.
So you graduated 2014 from college?
No, from high school.
He's young,
one
bro.
of the coaches, yeah.
He's
and
young.
then his dad is the other coach. But he looked at me and he was like, your eyes, something about, I've never seen someone with a concussion like really looked at him, but your eyes apparently are big and glossy. Like you're like, so he was like, you got a problem. And the head coach, who we all have kind of a healthy fear of, was like, are you fine? And my graduating class was 27. And my school had 120 people in it.
No.
So we are short.
Your graduating class was 27?
Yeah. So we are short on people.
Wow.
Like I played every way. Kickoff, kick return, offense, defense, punt team, field goal team, everything. And so there was like a fear. Also, I like to play. A fear of saying, like, I'm not okay. So I was like, yeah, I'm okay. And honestly, I didn't feel that weird. At the time. Obviously now, like I don't even really remember. But there was a play eventually, that play 72, I got hit in the elbow.
Oh.
And I just started crying. And it wasn't even like...
Was it a shock to you that you started crying? Or?
Yeah, because I got in the elbow and it stung. But like, whatever. It was one of those things like, that hurt. And like you might have a tear or something. But I just started sobbing. And then I couldn't stop.
Like it wasn't even eyes watering. You were crying.
I was sobbing and I couldn't stop. And they're like, what's wrong? And I just could not stop. And it was the strangest thing. And then I just kept crying. Yeah. And then so they were like, my trainer was like, you have a concussion, you got to sit out. And this was third quarter. And I just sat there and cried probably the rest of the game. Yeah. It's just emotionally, it's so weird. You just cannot control it.
It doesn't seem sense until you're in the moment.
Yeah. It's crazy. And I was just crying and it was crazy. And then so I got a concussion again my senior year. Another concussion. The second game of my senior year. And I was running and I got blindsided. Someone just completely took me out. And ironically, he broke his collarbone on the hit. I got blindsided. And so that time, I didn't notice either. And it was second quarter. And I stayed in the game. And then there was just this moment. This was so much different than the first time. Where I was in the training room with the trainer. And I was like saying to him, I don't know where I am. And I had just lost the whole block of time since I had gotten hit. To the point that we were in the locker room. And so that one was like mind-blowing. And so kind of the point is that whole experience kind of taught me, one, that like things that seem guaranteed are not guaranteed. At that point, I lost 2 games my senior year and I was really excited to play football. And so at that point I was like devastated because I lost a fourth of my season. And then also, if I had had another concussion, which it happens like that, I probably would not have played again. Just because, I mean, even at 2, it was like thinking about it because your brain is so important. So it was just like how fast you can lose things like that you thought were guaranteed. Like I had never thought, oh my gosh, I might just like not be able to play football. And so that was crazy. And then also how like just kind of the grand scheme of how important some things are. Like at that point it seemed to me when I was like football, like in high school, they always say you're a student athlete, but like I was pretty much an athlete student. Like I was sitting the day thinking about football. So to think about like, wait, like this is your brain you're talking about, right? Like that is the most important thing. Like it does not matter, even if it was my sophomore year, it does not matter what can happen over the next 3 years when in the grand scheme of things, like your brain is your best tool. And so to think about kind of just translate a lot of things, to think about what is actually important here. And so I think that's why football has given me a lot, just all of those things.
Wow. That's a lot there, man.
Yeah, I know. It's probably the most beneficial.
Camera's going?
Yep.
All right, cool. Wow, yeah. Concussions do scare me the most.
They're crazy.
I feel like every time someone brings up concussion in the podcast, I'm like, that's anything in the brain. As you said it perfectly. The brain is the most important part of your entire body.
Yeah. And brain cells dying and just not coming back is like
scary.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Describe me what lifestyle was like in recovery, because I think, okay, were you dizzy all day? Were you have trouble thinking? How was your schoolwork? How was your social life? And how long was that period?
So I think, luckily, the first time, it was last season of the game, or last game of the season, sorry. And so it was like there was no recovery, right? The season was over. I mean, I obviously had to recover.
For your personal?
Yeah, on my own time. And I think that was the fall of my junior year. And I remember I came into an AP chemistry class. It was my first class in the morning. And it might have been that Monday. If it was a Friday night game, it might have been a Saturday night game. And I came into class that Monday. And I remember it was a lab. And the lights were just so bright. And I didn't think it was anything bad that weekend. And, like, just trying to look at the, like, comprehend what we were learning. It's just like your brain is just not in the state that it usually is. And I was like, I just don't, like, things just didn't quite make sense. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't learning at the rate that I previously would learn. And I ended up just going home and going to bed. And then that next day, it kind of got better. I had a little bit of a headache. And that was the first time, besides that one incident, it was pretty good. The second time, it was worse. And I hear that, like, concussions get increasingly worse the more that you have them. I'm not really sure what the science behind that is. I'm not sure if it's just like your second damage to your brain, the consequences are worse.
It takes a toll on it.
Yeah. I don't really know, but I've heard that too. And I've experienced it because even outside of the fact that I lost, like, just completely blacked out, lost time. When I came back, I had a headache and I was so dizzy, and I had a gym class, and of course, my gym teacher was one of the coaches on the football team. So he had a couch in his office. So I used to just go for gym class. I would just sleep, just go to bed on his couch, wake up, and then go back to class. And then I wanted to recover for the next week of gameplay. Obviously, I didn't make it back in a week.
So how long did it take you to get 100%?
Probably 2.5 weeks.
Okay, not super long.
Not terrible. And in 2 weeks, I played one way. I played defense in our game 2 weeks, and I was pretty much better. Things were a little bit off still, but by 2 weeks, I was 100%. But the other one, I would say the first one, it was probably a week. So it definitely did increase on that second experience.
So did you have that constant state of, like, mental pain all day?
It's like fuzziness. Is how I would describe it. Probably mostly. I know it varies. Definitely varies. And probably depending on the situation. I'm sure if you get, like, in a car accident, you probably experience a higher level of concussion than if you just hit the ground in a game of football. But I think it's it's confusion, it's fuzziness. It's just like something's wrong. Like, it's like you can't, things aren't the same. You're kind of out of it, disoriented. Things are a little bit slower. It's just weird. It's like, it's almost like you feel like what it would be like being on drugs or something. You're like, this is weird.
Did it have a big impediment to your academic, social, or personal life? People
definitely noticed socially. I was just quieter. I was tired, a little bit out of it, so I'm not, like, as active in thinking. Academically, I don't even remember if it really in that 2 weeks was a problem. I think it's just things were just slower. It took more time. If anything was particularly strenuous, I'm sure it was a problem. Reading was a battle. Something about just looking at all the words, I just could not.
If you have a concussion, is it good for you to try reading, or you shouldn't even try?
I'm not sure about reading. They say you don't want to look at screens.
Right.
You're not supposed to look at light and stuff and screens.
How was it easy with that to follow that rule?
I followed it pretty well. Right after the game, I drove to B-Dubs. And I asked my trainer, I was like, it's fine if I drive to B-Dubs, right? Like, I mean, obviously I'm out of it, but it probably wasn't the best decision to drive to B-Dubs. Because I got to B-Dubs and the waiter asked me what I wanted, and I was totally out of it. And I, like, just looked at her, and my friend just ordered for me. It was the weirdest experience. He was like, dude, you are not okay. But it was fine.
Yeah, driving like that must be scary.
Yeah, I don't know. It was, like, fine. I mean, I didn't really ever think I was going to make an egregious error behind the wheel. It was just like, I don't know. But I drove, and then I didn't go on my phone. I didn't really go on my phone. I slept most of the day. I woke up the next day, slept for a little bit, and then I had to go to work.
Where'd you work?
Oh my gosh, how did I have to go to work? It was still the summer, because I think our game was in September. I worked at a country club, and we had to close. That's what it was. And so I had to do a bunch of stuff, and it was sunny. I wore a hat, and I wore sunglasses, and yeah, it was a rough It was a rough weekend, and that definitely probably slowed my recovery process, but it was good.
Interesting, man. So do you think it impaired your memory at all, or is that not connected?
I feel like this is probably totally mental. And I know there are things like that, like after stuff, you're like, that's because of
That thing.
this. But there are certain things, this is so weird, that I do now that I swear it's because of that. Like sometimes I will, like, if I'm holding trash and a gallon of milk in my hand, I'll go to put the trash in the fridge and the milk in the trash. And I'll be like, what just happened? It's so weird. Or like one time I straight up opened my pantry to go to the bathroom in the trash can.
Did you pee in the trash can?
No, but I had opened it and was like taking my pants off. I was like, wait, what am I doing? And that stuff happens to me a lot. Like I throw trash in the laundry basket a lot.
Oh, because I look out for it later. How did I get in there?
Yeah, or I like throw it in there and then I look at it and I'm like, what am I doing? And so I can't tell if that's like something because I'm thinking about something else. And I just, but I feel like it's a little bit affected me. But it's not really a huge deal. I think definitely if that was something where I had another concussion or let's say 2 more concussions, I think it definitely would play a role on your cognitive ability.
Wow, that's really sick, dude. I mean, I've never even heard about a situation like that. I mean, I know that sometimes your brain, you're on autopilot mode, you'll do something stupid, like you'll drive your normal route even if you're not going that direction.
Right.
Like, oh shit, I'm not supposed to go here. I've done that plenty of times, but I think what you did, it's very unique. Like putting things in the wrong place. That's an interesting one, man.
That's like the biggest thing for me. And I was like, it's a lot about it.
Does it still happen?
I was like, it's autopilot stuff. It does still happen, but I think it is autopilot stuff. But I think the frequency of how often I did autopilot stuff increased. Like my mindlessness was more frequent.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting, man.
Yeah.
Going back to what you're talking about with swimming, you said that one of the things you liked about swimming is that it's more caveman, like it's more natural in a way, which got me thinking because bodybuilding is very unnatural if you think about it. Like caveman, it's very like a different way of moving your body in a way that like no other human in our history or species has moved their body in such a way, especially diet. Because I feel like our culture right now these days is that diet is the most important thing. Like what you're eating, are you eating this diet or that diet, are you eating these calories or that calories?
For
it's
sure.
like we overthink it so much, and then the bear in the woods is eating just berries and acorns, and it's like huge. And
Right.
when I was reading about bears, because I just went to the Smokies and I was reading about bears. We saw like 2 bears over there. It's fucking insane. And I was like, that is eating fucking berries and acorns all day. And here I'm overthinking today. 2 chicken breasts, 3 chicken breasts. How much salmon did I eat? How much rice did I eat? How many vegetables did I get? Am I getting all my macronutrients in? My micronutrients in? Like, am I eating at this time? That's. I mean, we overthink diet so much when our hunter-gatherer ancestors were not even thinking about it. They were eating the simplest food, and that really got me thinking like, how much of diet is important and like this whole like mess of like natural lifting in a natural way or existing in a natural way, and it's like I don't know, man.
I know. I always go back and forth on that stuff because it's like, I'm always like, well, like it's common to pull up like they didn't have these problems, right? You people are like, well, how many cavemen had cancer? And then I always come to the problem like, well, how many cavemen lived long enough to have cancer? You know what I mean? Like people get cancer young, but also like we live so much longer now, so we have more time to come to these problems. And a lot of problems just come with age, like joint problems. You've just been walking the earth too long. But so I can't ever tell if it's like, I'm always trying to decide if it's something, a product of our own being, or if it's something that just comes from like longer duration on the earth. And I definitely think that obsession with like our macros and stuff is something that's like, I can't tell it. That's like a little bit out of hand. I think part of our problem is just the like surplus of food that is not good for you. Like all of the processed, like they didn't have that food, you know.
Pop-Tarts.
So yeah, right. Pop-Tarts.
Yeah.
Interesting. Even the dining hall, like I always look at those every time I walk past that dessert thing. I'm like, oh, that looks good. Like there was those brownies, those cookies and cream brownies yesterday.
Didn't see it.
They looked so good, and I was looking at one, and it was 550 kcals, and I was like, that's a lot. I think it was 450. But still, 450, I was like, that's a lot in like, that's like a 3-bite thing. Like that's 3 bites.
Yeah.
That's a lot of calories.
And a lot of ingredients that you don't want in your system.
Yeah, that too. And especially with like soda and stuff.
Oh, that's like the one thing I would take out of everyone's diet.
Yeah, me
soda
too.
and fruit juice. Oh. So bad for you. Yeah, let's go back to the first debate that people go through about should we listen to the ancestors or we shouldn't, because they didn't live that long. And I've read about that debate as well. I think some people have claimed that because they didn't live that long, we shouldn't look at them for health advice. But from what I've read, the reason they died early is because of infections and less because of health-related reasons.
Yeah.
So that's what I've at least read. And we've cured for infections, which is like drastically like shot up our lifespan. But at the same time, the diseases that we look at in humanity today mostly emerge, as you said, in older age, right? So sure, they're dying because of the infection, but who knows if the infections didn't exist, would they still have back problems and stuff? Which is a good question because they do definitely put a big toll on their back and feet and everything, the way they live.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do this. Or should we do it their way or our way or this way or that way? That gets confusing. I think the thing with diet is so weird because it's one of the most under-researched thing because of how difficult it is to research. Like, I'll give you an example. Everyone debates about the ideal diet, like ketogenic versus vegan versus carnivore versus Mediterranean, all these diets.
Yeah.
And the thing is that people saw all these studies that show this study, that study, but when you read the details, those are some of the most hardest to conduct studies, and we don't even have that many of those studies because it's first of all, most of the effects of diets don't happen in a 1 week or 2 week time frame. They happen in like 5 or 10 years, and we don't have that many studies, clinical trials that could last that long because how are you going to justify a study like I'm going to give this person processed food for 5 years? How do you justify a study like that?
Yeah.
How do you receive funding for that?
Yeah.
And B, how do you ensure that they actually follow their diet?
Right.
Do you keep them like locked up in the fucking lab all day?
Yeah, and there are so many other factors too.
Yeah, it's so hard. And I think because of that, we shouldn't be so OD about this or that, the nitpicky stuff, but I do agree that one of the things we can agree on is that processed foods are probably not good.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's crazy. The thing that always surprises me is when people will get really fixated on one thing and just completely oversee another thing. Like, people will just they'll really, like, when they really focus on something like food, for example, like, this, you cannot have this food, right? Or like this processed food. Like, let's say someone really picks on soda. They're like, you just cannot, these sodas, even like diet sodas, you're putting chemicals into your body that are not supposed to be in your body. Right. But then they'll do something like, I don't know, the first example that comes to my mind is smoking, but like something else that is harmful. You're like, well, how are you going to pick one thing and then not, like, you're going to do something else that's so harmful. So it's, there's just so many things.
Yeah, I agree. I think personally what I believe is that I think sodas and fruit juice are probably the worst thing that people consume in America. But there's definitely a lot of things that are bad.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably the biggest one just because of, at least from what I've read in the science behind it, your body's not able to digest fructose in a liquid way, in an effective way, where if you have like an apple, you have fructose, but you also have fiber in it, and you have it in a controlled amount where it goes directly to your microbiome, so you're able to digest it properly.
Yeah.
When you have like 10 times the amount of sugar and like this amount of calories, even if the 0 calorie stuff, you have that much like chemical or what's the one that they put in Diet Coke? It's
I know, I can never think of it.
I'm forgetting the name.
Yeah, me too.
That sweetener chemical.
Yeah.
Putting that much in your body at once, it doesn't go through your microbiome anymore because it's the liquid form of fructose is very dangerous, even in like freshly squeezed juices sometimes, which is weird. But anyway, I think that honestly the best diet is I just think whole foods.
Yeah.
That's all. That way you can not overthink it. Just be like simple, just eat whole foods. It's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's good.
What's your approach to it? Like, I know that a lot of people, it's not like the end of the world if you have a brownie every now and then, right? So, and I think some people are okay with that. Some people go more extreme in that. Like, where do you stand on the spectrum of like, what do you think? How do you approach like this whole diet mess?
It gets a little weird for me. Like, right when I first got here, I was a little bit less lenient I was a little bit more lenient than I usually am, just because I was trying to bulk a little bit more. And I do not believe in like a dirty bulk. I don't think that's
same here.
It's just, I don't think that's healthy for your body. But you're just gonna gain fat at a much higher rate than you're trying to gain muscle. But I did a little bit more. Like, I would have dessert more often than I usually do. And then now I try to stay away from dessert most of the time. I'm really into, it's also hard with the dining hall because it's always there. At home, I didn't have it very much. But the dining hall, I try to stay away from it, and I try to, I'm kind of getting into the vegan desserts. Just,
why is that?
Like, not even because they're vegan, just because I like the way that they taste. I feel like they're always, like, properly dense.
Not too sweet.
Something about them. Yeah, they're not too sweet. like them. So sometimes if there's like I like to grab a vegan cookie. Today I had a cookie.
It's National Cookie Day.
National Cookie Day.
I'll probably go.
I made one of those cookies. It was not good. I was not a fan.
What? Which one?
It was like they have like sugar cookies. Like they just have a basic cookie and then you can put frosting on it. And it was a waste. I wish I had not had it. But so sometimes I'll do that stuff. But also I eat a lot of like protein supplement stuff. Like I'll have a protein shake or I'll have a protein bar. And that stuff has a lot of like that stuff is not the best for you. Like it has a lot of sugar and it has a lot of artificial stuff. And so I always think that kind of fills my spot of dessert.
Yeah,
you know, like
that's fair.
I don't totally have room to be consuming dessert when I'm already consuming so many calories and like the amount of that's like kind of, I don't want to say bad calories, but a lot of sugar and
Definitely.
stuff.
Interesting approach, man. How's your bulk gone so far then in the last couple months? Have you been able to successfully balance these two agendas?
Yeah. I've started to slow down a significant amount just because I'm getting a little bit more happy where I'm at. Like I'm gonna try to like keep where I'm at for the next coming months and then probably try to cut down as summer comes around. It's also so hard because like what I find is mass moves mass. And so when you're trying to get stronger, it's just the
Bulking's
easiest
hard.
way to get stronger is to get bigger.
Yeah.
Like it's just like a cheat code to gaining strength. But I know like the strength will come with more time in the gym even if I'm not bigger. So I'm going to cut down a little bit. But it's good. I gained a lot of weight because when I was swimming, I cut a lot of weight.
Right. So there's a big jump off of that.
Yeah. So when I was swimming, I was like 175 right before the state meet. And then now I'm like 215.
It's huge bulk.
Yeah. So that was from like April to now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a progression for sure. But yeah, it's also hard because like if you bulk, I'm running out of clothes, you know. I gotta buy new clothes.
Yeah, but it's always good to go back to the store again. Like shit, everything's too tight, everything's too big.
Yeah,
it's like I made some progress here.
Yeah,
that's what I feel like.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I love lifting at Michigan, man. It's good to lift with like people your age.
For
it
sure.
Always adds so much more fun element.
It's
Go to the
awesome.
gym, you see all the guys. It's a lot of fun.
It is. It's a blast.
Amazing, man. But yeah, dude, it's a fun conversation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you some closing questions, traditional closing questions. But first, we'll have you sign the new poster.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're introducing the historic white poster that's behind Quinn. And I don't know for how long I'm going to keep doing this until it's full, I guess, and we'll get another one. But yeah, we're going to try to get all our guests to sign this poster. So there's a box of Sharpie markers behind you. I'll have you open it.
Okay, perfect.
And yeah, sign your name somewhere and episode number 72. Put 72 next to your name. And yeah, choose a spot. You get the first one to pick. So yeah.
You got a size preference?
Go for it, bro. Wherever. Oh, size?
Yeah.
Just keep in mind that we need to get hundreds of more people to sign it.
Yeah,
but
okay.
You got it.
You want me to just get like a pound sign for the number? Or do you
Sure. You're starting the tradition, man. It's your call.
This is awesome, man. Where'd you get this idea?
My friend Jackson Lascarides on episode 7, he told me I gotta do this. So I gotta get him on for another episode. Yeah. So that was right before Thanksgiving, so I ordered on Amazon and it just came. So congrats, man.
That's awesome. I'm honored.
Imagine we have like episode 1,000 on the same one. Nah, that'd be too many. That'd be too many people, bro. Perfect. I like it already. Nice.
Awesome.
All right, I'm just thinking, should we just keep the name on there, or should we add like another thing that everyone can put with their name?
Huh?
Do you think we could add like something else we could put with each person's name? How about you sit down so we can hear you as well? Okay, if we're gonna talk.
I don't
Trying
know.
to think, like,
What else do you put on there?
I'm trying to think, like, what could be a cool, like, that's something unique to the person.
Yeah,
like, their
right.
favorite ex, like, their favorite. I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, you gotta think of something that has some serious value as well.
Yeah.
Something that's not just
Because, like,
stupid.
a quote would be too long,
Yeah.
you know. Favorite car?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that's too random.
I don't know, on the
I'll
spot.
have to think about it.
Yeah, I need some thought. If you figure something out, you're going to have me
I'll
back
call you
on.
back. I'll
Yeah.
bring this down to Dojo Dining Hall one
Yeah,
day.
right.
I'll have you sign it. For now, we'll keep your name up there. I think it's cool. Yeah, dude.
It's awesome.
You asked me to ask you this question. Should Bronny play in the NBA?
Okay, so here's what I think, basically. No, I'm gonna preface the statement with no. I think that he probably has the ability to play in the NBA, but I don't think he does right now. I think that his path to the NBA was accelerated by nepotism, by his father's presence in the NBA. I just don't think he has the skill currently to play in the NBA. I think if his last name was not James, and he was just like, I'm sure there are many people who have the same skill level as Bronny out there, and I don't think they're given the same shot just because they do not have the same name. So, no. My final answer, no.
So I guess we could re-clarify the question, because I guess there's two questions you could possibly be asking. A, does he deserve to play in the NBA? And B, do you think he'd be successful playing in the NBA? So which of those two questions do you think you just answered? Does he deserve to, or do you think he would be successful or not successful playing in the NBA?
I think both of them have a similar answer in the aspect that I think that right now he does not deserve to play in the NBA. I don't think he has the skill to play in the NBA on the level that the players play. And I don't think that at his current skill level he can be successful. I don't think he's good enough to be successful. He hasn't really built a name for himself. He's just kind of under his father's name. Yeah. So I think that with time, like if he had more time, I think he can be successful. Would he have had the same opportunity? I'm not sure how much more time he could have had to then still make it in the NBA. So I think he just does not deserve to be in the NBA right now. I think in the future he could be successful, but I'm going to say I don't think he is going to be the most successful. I always like to definitely not a 100% true statement, but I feel like greats don't make greats. Legends don't make legends. Yeah. I think it's so independent. I think that legends make good players, but they don't make amazing players.
That's very rare. Yeah.
So that's kind of how I feel about it.
I agree for the most part. I think that if I go back to those two questions, I would say that he deserves to, but I don't think he'd be successful. And the reason I say that is because I guess there's no rule saying that this team can only pick good players, right? And I guess in the same way like a government works in a meritocracy, I said the same way like a team should be able to choose whether or not they want this player on their team, right? So fair enough, LeBron had this dream of playing with the Sun, and the Lakers honored that dream.
Yeah.
And they wasted a draft pick basically on him because they valued the story or the history implications or LeBron's wish over the fact that maybe they could pick a different player. So at the end of the day, like that's a decision the Lakers made in my eyes, and it's like they had to make a value decision. Like they had to choose between options, and they deemed that more valuable, right? And I think the world is all about value. Like naturally, the companies that provide more value will naturally get to the top, and the companies that don't provide value will fall to the bottom. I think from that way, I don't think I'm in any position to say whether he deserves to or he doesn't deserve to. But honestly, when I think about it, I'm more worried about him as an individual and like the implication, like what being in this position would actually mean for his own development and success. Because I think one of the worst feelings in the world is that knowing that you'll never be as great as your father. Yeah, I think there's something about father-son dynamics that it's like you always want to like catch up to your father and then pass him in a good way. And usually fathers are happy when they see their sons pass them in a way. Right. But when the expectation is set so high that you're always going to live in their shadow. Like he had a quote saying that I don't want to just be LeBron James' son. Like I want to be Bronny James. Yeah. But will that ever be true when your father is literally like arguably a top one player of all time? Yeah, right. And it's like just for him, like always having that comparison dynamic. And then he said that, okay, I'm also going to go the basketball route. And he's a pretty good basketball player. But
yeah, for sure.
We're talking NBA here, top 600 players in the world. Right. Like it's pretty insane. So I'm a little worried about him because like okay, he's on the Lakers now. He's playing with them. I would say he's not an NBA player caliber player. He could potentially be in the G League and have some success there. But I just think that placing the expectation so high on him, having to deal with the spotlight on him the whole time. He doesn't even want the spotlight on him. That's the thing. And I think all summer in NBA Combine plus Summer League, he's always had that spotlight on him, that there's so much more pressure on him that I don't think that is best for his success because, again, legends don't make legends. He's a great player, but he's not like a legend. So I feel like it's best. Okay, he had that moment, but it's like now, like I don't think he should like. Okay, even if LeBron retires, like is he gonna still want to keep playing in the league like on his own? It's like,
right.
Obviously he wouldn't have get there without the James on his jersey.
Yeah.
So it's a big question. I hope he can figure it out. I hope that he finds a way to deal with that, and then find a way to also grow as an individual in whatever goals he sets for himself. And I think he'd be more successful in like the G League or something. And
I agree.
NBA's, that's a different level, man.
Yeah, I think that's very valid.
Cool. So same friend Jackson who got the idea for this poster. He asked me a question near the end of our podcast, and since episode 70, it's been a big tradition over 3 episodes.
Okay, yeah.
So he asked me, what would you die on the stand for? And what that question means is, die on the stand is like a political term where some politician will stand up on stage and declare his hot take or declare his belief, and he will die on the stand protecting that belief.
Mm-hmm.
So people throw tomatoes at him, they'll shoot him, they'll throw shit at him, they'll yell at his face, but he will die on the stand, up on stage for that thing. What would you die on the stand for? It could be anything.
Okay, so is it belief wise, or
Anything.
is it like physical? Like
it could be, I will die on the stand for the First Amendment. I will die on the stand for this album by Kanye West.
okay,
I will
so
die on the stand
it's
for
like conceptual, right? A little bit.
anything.
So
It
it's
could
not
be-
like a person, right?
It could be a person. It could be a belief. It could be an amendment. It could be a song. It could be a leg extension machine. It could be anything in the world that you would die on the stand.
Oh my gosh.
It could be like a way of living life. It could be anything. The more creative you get, the better.
Okay, so I gotta think of some strong beliefs. Oh gosh. Okay, all right. Man, this is a huge selection. Gosh, my mind is racing.
Take your time.
Okay, I've got a couple things cycling. I'm trying to think of what my final declaration is. I know you had the leg press machine thing, and then I was thinking gym stuff, and then I was thinking things I feel passionate about. I think I would always feel passionate about, I think, Smith machine incline bench press will just always be better.
Incline set?
Yeah, Smith machine incline bench press is just always better than just a free incline bench press.
Why is that?
I just think it's so much better. I think your like ability to push yourself to failure, and I think like the path, there's no freedom of you messing up your range of motion, also your path, right? The bar path is straight on the Smith machine, so I think it's just so much better. But I don't know. I also think that one of my things that I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I think because I feel so passionate about it.
That's what I want to hear.
The thing that I would die on a stand for is that Culver's is not a good fast food restaurant.
Culver's?
Yeah.
I don't even know that. Culver's.
Culver's. Yeah. Have you ever?
Dude, no.
Oh
What is
my
Culver's,
God.
bro?
If
I don't
you
know if they
find
have them
people,
in Jersey.
if you find people who like Culver's, they're radical about it.
I've
And
never
I don't
seen this
think
before,
it's good. I
bro.
don't think it's good. I don't think any part of it is good.
How have I never seen this? It's a burger joint.
Yeah.
I'm going to search if they have it in Jersey.
If you ever get the opportunity, you can try it and let me know what you think. But people love it. I had a couple friends who would just die for it, and I don't think it's good.
It's funny, man. I don't eat like fast food too much, but yeah, there's no Culver's in New Jersey. Maybe it's like
You have not
Michigan
missed
thing.
out.
There's a lake named Culver's Lake in Sussex County. That's what
Really?
ChatGPT AI said. No, there are no Culver's restaurants, but there's a lake named Culver's Lake.
That's
See if I
funny.
want to go there, bro. That's, okay, it originated in Wisconsin, and it's primarily in the Midwest. Okay, interesting.
Okay, if you find a Culver's fan, they'll think it's just I've never met a Culver's fan who does not think it's the most outlandish thing ever to not like Culver's.
Wow. So there's some like big people who are passionate
Radical.
about. Wow.
Radical. I've never met a
noble
sensible Culver's fan. Not once.
Wow, that's interesting. I'm gonna start asking around.
Yeah, so
New
I
question
hate,
at the end of the podcast. Do you like
hate
Culver's?
Culver's.
I like that one. It's a good one. Go, man. All right, go ahead and close it out. I'm hungry. I'm about to go eat.
Let's
Probably.
do it.
All right. Pleasure talking to you today. There's a lot of
Yeah,
it's a
pleasure
fun
being
conversation, man.
Yeah, it
I
was
learned
awesome.
a lot. I gotta start stretching is what I learned.
Yeah, right.
All right. Thank you for coming on, and maybe we can do this again with some of your friends, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I
you.
appreciate it. I had an awesome time.
Cool.
Thank you for tuning in to my episode. If you enjoyed that episode, I guarantee that you'll love this episode right here. The best way to support the channel is by hitting the subscribe button. It will help me to upgrade the channel get better guests, better production, and overall more episodes for you. And by hitting the subscribe button, you'll ensure that you'll never miss a new release. While you're at it, hit the like button, leave a comment, and share the link with your best friend. Thank you once again for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.